13 years ago, I left my education at industrial design at Konstfack school. And since then, I've been working with groups and teams and companies, taking innovations to market, in particularly IT innovations. And I've been asked today to just, I think I have 6 minutes, is that right?
Go for it.
To predict the future in 6 minutes. Not very easy, but I have selected 4 trends that I think will be dominant for the coming 10 years. And this one, isn't it a powerful picture? Actually, my son, my oldest son, I've got 3 kids, he asked me the other day what Kodak was. And I was just absolutely amazed. I had no idea. He did not know. He did not know the name. I mean, he did not know this company that not many years ago was one of the biggest brands, one of the biggest companies in the world. And I think that was amazing. So I found this picture. And this picture is a photo of their head office in Stockholm this year. It was taken this year, and there has been some creative artists, you know, local graffiti. The roof is falling down. It's abandoned. Kodak was a dominant player 15 years ago, totally dominant player. And they thought that they could control the digital technology, while other smaller players were setting the ground and the direction. 10 years from now, we will see more of these ruins. All companies from all sizes and all industries that cannot constantly reinvent themselves will end up there. This one, this picture, I picked it yesterday. I talked to a guy that told me about a new online game. An amazing game. It's a new online game where you're sitting at home with your computer, you're driving a virtual Formula 1 car, but you're competing with real Formula 1 drivers that are driving in the real world in real time. I was just like, okay, I did not learn that at Konstfack. I learned to draw physical objects that you can touch, and you can feel them, and I just felt very old, very old. I couldn't even invent something like this. So here we are today. I mean, products are not physical objects anymore. They are virtual experience. Some of the biggest brands in the world, you can't touch them, you can't feel them, they're there. Virtual experience, something digital on the internet. So now we come to my passion. I think internet is one of the most beautiful creations that mankind ever invented, period. But it was not designed to be secure. It was designed for sharing. And as we moved all our lives, our governments, our social lives, our businesses, we moved it to the cloud now. And we're securing it with a username password. I mean, if we don't do anything about this, we will be in trouble. But as Kjell said just recently, if there is a problem, people will come up with solutions. And me and my team, we are currently working on one of these solutions. 2.5 years ago, I started YubiKey in Sting incubator. I had a vision that if there are identities to secure, to identify users with on mobile phones, I mean, it's billions SIM cards out there for mobile phone users. Why couldn't it be the same for online services? I was starting envisioning a SIM card for online services, and actually one SIM card that could go to all online services. And I said, I want to start a business around this. A year later, I had the first prototype, but I had no plan. I had no business plan. I had no strategy how I could get it out there. Because I'm a guy, I'm an innovator, just looks at the physical objects. I can't really do all the other things. My brain is not structured for that. But I was so happy and lucky. I ran into a security podcaster. And I gave him one of the first samples, and he made a podcast. He made a podcast that went out to 100,000 listeners, security listeners all over the world, in hundreds of countries. And he said, I met this woman, and she's invented this really cool two-factor authentication solution. And the best thing of all, it's all open source. And when I heard that podcast, I had to call my board, because the last part, I don't know where we got the open source thing from. I didn't invent that. So I said, are we going to be open source? And my team were like, why not? Okay, so we're open source. And we closed the books, and then we put up an online community where we took the building blocks, free open source building. In 1 week, we had an online developers community and a web store where people all over the world could buy these things. And we shipped them all over the world, and with hundreds of developers developing code, applications, supporting each other. I mean, it was just amazing. And this is my last topic. I'm sure I'm past 6 minutes long ago. Anyway, give me a half a minute more. So my next speaker, Andreas, will continue on this great new trend called crowd innovation. I just want to end with a very short statement. I am a true believer of open source and free software. But I want the creators, the innovators, and the designers, and the artists to decide if it's going to be free or not. Thank you very much.
Please sit down. So